Welcome to another episode of Sneaks Rhymes and Life. So we are going to get into a celebration of the Bronx. Not the Bronx just generically, but hey, the Bronx, Cool Hercs, Amazing Party, Sedgwick. This is the creation and where hip hop was first heard and why we know hip hop the way we know hip hop today. So salute to the Bronx, but we're going to talk about one special album for the Latino community. So this is for all my Latinos and Latinas. This is an ode to the very special album Capital Punishment. So this is done by none other than Big Pun. This episode is available on Spotify, Apple, Google, and then obviously if you go on YouTube, you will see the video version. But this is an album that needs its love and needs its respect and needs me to tip my hat. So salute to Big Pun, the late Big Pun, and this particular album. So this album debuted April 28th. It was actually my mom's birthday. And this is what kind of struck a chord with me. In 1998, this is an album critically acclaimed, arguably the best album ever to come from the hip hop Latino community. And hey, to many other artists that have done stuff, including Fat Joe, Cypress Hill, other genres like Jennifer Lopez, Shakira, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I don't want to get into the whole list, but this is one that kind of shook the hip hop industry to its core. So it peaked number 5 on Billboard 200. And Pun was a unique artist. Big Pun, was found by none other than Fat Joe, Terror Squad, under Terror Squad Productions. This is a hip hop classic. Um, you know, this was according to Black Thought, this was a super underground release that became mainstream, and it was essentially groundbreaking. We've never had someone rap with this lyrical dexterity, breath control, and then just lyrical genius. Like, when we talk about some of the best MCs that we've ever had, we don't really talk enough about Big Pun in being that conversation. I think I did like a Mount Rushmore of artists that are the top tier of lyricism, and I don't remember if I had Big Pun on there, but he would have been easily an honorable mention for me. He was nominated this album in '99 at the '99 Grammy Awards for Best Rap Album. He ultimately lost to Jay-Z's Hard Knock Life. This was like the first Latino album that went platinum. So this album, he has just done things differently than any other. And I'm going to read a quote here. This came from, I think it's Weekly Entertainment. Everything about this Bronx-bred Puerto Rican rapper is generous. His 400-pound girth, his multiple rhymes within each line, the talented spewing from verses without stopping for a breath. Q wrote, and I'm just reading this off my other computer here, displayed huge lyrical prowess and requisite a sensitive side. So that was the unique thing about this album. This was as hardcore as an album you got, but you definitely got a side that was a little different. Almost reminiscent or rivaled the Notorious B.I.G., aka Biggie Smalls. It was something for the ladies, but there was also something definitely for the fellas. And he kind of was able to play both sides despite his size. And, they're like, we talk about people being attractive. There's something about how some people carry themselves that had many people gravitate to who they were and what they were all about. This album was just incredibly amazing. It was like literally you had this rapper and you just didn't know what he was going to say next. It was one of the most transcendent albums of recent time when we talk about hip hop. Now we go through the track list. It's 71 minutes. We start with Beware before the intro. Super lyrical that he does with Black Thought is one of the best lyrical songs that in my collection of I've ever heard. Still Not a Player. There is that interlude, which definitely throws people for a spin if you're not prepared for it. Still Not a Player he does with Joe after doing a track with Joe. I'm Not a Player, and that's on Joe's album. So it's the way that they flipped it and did the song in reverse. We get an intermission, and then Dream Shatters is absolutely incredible. We get Punish Me with Miss Jones, which definitely goes back and gives us the R&B vibe. And then You Ain't a Killer is a banger. And then Caribbean Connection with Wyclef is something I did not even consider would happen. But this song sounds so good. And then he gets on the track with his Latino connection. So we got Cuban Links, Trip Set, Fat Joe, and Armageddon to give us Glamour Life. It's one of my favorite songs on the album. And then, Prospect jumps on the track with him. And we get Capital Punishment. And then we got I'm Not a Player. Twins is maybe the best song on the album. This is the one that he does with Fat Joe. Then we get Boomerang. You Came Up is one of the songs, again, and another album like from a Latino perspective. Obviously, we should mention Nori and all of his work, along with what we got with CNN. And then we got Trey Lesses, sorry. This is like 3 amazing MCs, and this is called the Triborough Trilogy. So we get Deck, we get Prodigy, and then we get Big Pun. And Big Pun does this thing. This track is actually produced by RZA, and I look at some of the producers on this album. We got some people that we know, like Rockweiler. We got LES, Big Pun, and Fat Joe actually do Twins. Dead Prez is on this, but we got RZA on this track, and then Parental Discretion and the Devise, along with Fast Money, is the songs that end the album. But we got Showbiz that does Parental Discretion. So 24 tracks seems long, but it's absolutely incredible. And it took a village to make this album come together. This is one of the Proud Loud records. So think about it. 3 of the best albums we got in the 90s, Capital Punishment, The Infamous, and Only Built for Cuban Links, all on the same label. Plus we got Tribe. So it is absolutely amazing. And Tribe, obviously, as I did in my Mobb Deep one, Q-Tip had a massive influence on how things kind of came to be for The Infamous, and how Mobb Deep essentially changed their sound to sound totally different than how they came across their first album. So when we think about Big Pun and Capital Punishment, this is one of the most revered albums. And would I say that it is the best album that I've ever heard? Nope, definitely wouldn't. Is it one of the best albums of this decade? Actually, I would say that it is. And I think this was like as quick as a rise to stardom. And again, if we think about the Bronx, as I shared, we got DJ Kool Herc, then we got KRS-One, then we all of a sudden now we have Fat Joe from Jealous One's Envy. Jealous One's Envy first featured Big Pun on in '95, and then 3 years later we get Big Pun on this album. So charismatic, rapid fire delivery. He was a standout. He didn't sound like anybody else, and then his flow of in and out of his Latino slang made this an album revered by not only hip hop enthusiasts, but also Latinos as well. He's be able to master themes and concepts. And I think just his ability to, like, as I said earlier, put a rhyme within a rhyme is some of the best lyricism we've ever seen. He had some great singles. Still Not a Player. Twins are some of the ones that really stand out. Fan favorites, again, Dream Shatter is one that stands out because of his rhyme style. It is aggressive, but it's his skill and his ambitions that really kind of come to the front. The battle literally has on the track with Super Lyrical, with Black Thought, and just the rapid fire bars of two of the best MCs that we have out there. And then we get obviously Deck and Prodigy going three boroughs deep on Trey Letch's. It is amazing, and we just have people from Double XL, and I think it got 3.5 out of 4 stars. The Source, I think it got 4 or 3.5, and I think it's still, it easily, to me, it could have been a 4.5, 5 mic album, and it just didn't get that. But we have even today's MCs, from J. Cole to Kendrick Lamar. Definitely you can feel the vibe of Eminem. And I saw something about Eminem. Masta Ace like rhymed like Eminem, but like almost 40 years ago. And you can see how Masta Ace took a little Pun, a little Rakim, a little Kane, and Kane is one of his favorites, a little Coogee Rap, and then obviously a little Pun ends up in the mix. And this is how, he even says, and then definitely you can see that there's sprinkles of Redman within how Eminem rhymes. But, just speaking about Pun, as quick as this meteoric rise was, it came to an abrupt end because Pun unfortunately passed away 2 years after this album. We have an album that was made, or in the process of being made, that comes out a couple years later, but it just wasn't the same. It just seemed unfinished. But he passed away in 2000. This album came out in 98. We're still riding the coattails of how good this album was. But for hip hop purists that love the lyricism, we know how good this album was. Big up Bronx. Big Pun, rest in peace. 25 years you've been gone. I can't even believe it. I sit here and contemplate, how has it been 25 years since Big Pun has been gone? But your music, your influence on your community, and the influence on hip hop as a whole will ever live in your memory. So salute. Big Pun passed away from heart failure. He was a big guy. He wasn't always this big, but for the late 90s, him, DMX, Eminem were cornerstones, along with Jay-Z, of what hip-hop was really about before we ultimately changed to a whole new era. So salute to Big Pun. This was a gem of an album in Capital Punishment, and deserves all the respect as being one of the best lyricists that we've ever seen in the game of hip-hop. Salute Big Pun. We out. Sneaks, Rhymes, and Life. Go Knicks!